Here's what they don't want you to know about why America just bombed Iran. Literally, no one is talking about what I'm about to share, and I will share the analysis and back you up with my evidence. On June 21st, Donald Trump ordered the United States to send warplanes to obliterate 3 Iranian nuclear sites, the first time in American history, in the last 50 years that they have attacked Iran. Not all of American history, sorry. But here's the twist: Trump didn't actually want this war. This war might actually not happen. Let me break down what really happened behind closed doors. Trump came into office promising to end America's endless wars. Do you remember? He even sent personal letters to Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Khamenei, the one he's saying he knows where he is and he could end him anytime, talking about peace deals. The guy literally campaigned on keeping America out of foreign conflicts. America first. America first means not serving some other nation in some foreign wars, right? But then something changed. Here's where it gets interesting. For months, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu had been pushing Trump to join Israel's desire to bomb Iran. They said, please, we need you by our side. The pressure was relentless. Israeli officials told the Trump administration they couldn't wait. They were going to strike Iran with or without American support, tying all the way back to videos I made from June 13th when the first Israeli attacks happened, where I said Israel's primary goal is to drag the US into a greater conflict so that they can really throw around their military weight because they'll have the US backing them up. Meanwhile, back in Washington, the Israel lobby, the political machine of AIPAC was working in overdrive. The most powerful pro-Israel group in America, AIPAC, they had been demanding action against Iran's nuclear program for years. Once the strikes happened, AIPAC immediately praised them, saying America must work with its allies to protect regional interests once the American strikes happened a couple of days ago. But here's what's really wild. Trump's own base was and still is divided. Republican senators like Rand Paul warned against another Middle East war, saying the American people voted for Trump specifically to avoid conflicts like this. Even Tucker Carlson, whose famous Ted Cruz interview now I'm sure you have probably seen clips of, was calling out the pressure campaign. He was saying, why are we beholden to Israel? Is this the United States of Israel or is this the United States of America? What happened to America first? MAGA, it was really putting some counter pressure against the Israel lobby pressure. But the political reality was brutal. Trump was terrified of being the president who let Iran get nuclear weapons. He couldn't imagine that Trump, who cares so much about himself and his legacy and his own personality, wanting to build a cult of personality, in some ways has built a cult around his personality. Imagine if you whisper in his ear over and over again, Iran's going to get nukes, Iran's going to get nukes, and it'll be on your watch. You'll be remembered as the president who let Iran get nukes. So you're going to let that slide. That's what you're going to be remembered for. His advisors told him Iran was months away from having enough material for multiple bombs. Now, we probably have seen clips of Netanyahu saying in 1999, saying in 1985, saying in 2001, 2005 that, Iran's a few months away from getting a bomb. But remember, Trump wasn't around at that time, right? And if it's true now, Trump will think, if it's true now, then I'm the one who suffers, so I need to take action. The political calculation was simple. If Iran got nukes on his watch, his presidency would be finished. They used, the Israel lobby, this narrative to convince him that despite his desire to keep America out of a war, he definitely needed to degrade Iran's nuclear capabilities. And this was how to do it. Drop bombs that we don't have on the targets that we would love to be able to drop bombs on. So what did America do? They dropped 30,000-pound bunker-busting GBU-57 MOPs, massive ordnance penetrators, 12 of them, exactly the number I said, by the way, 2 days before the attack, on Fordow, the nuclear facility, buried hundreds of meters underground beneath the, I believe is the Zagros Mountains. It could be the Alborz Mountains, sorry. Only America has weapons powerful enough to reach that deep, and that's still theoretical. Israel had been begging for this exact strike because they simply couldn't do it alone. They don't have the bombs. They don't have those kinds of bombs. They just have bombs that can wipe out hospitals, yeah, but hospitals are on the surface, that's their specialty. Now, the attacks weren't about starting a new war. They were about ending pressure from the Israel lobby while avoiding a bigger conflict. You see, he's trying to play both sides. This is the nature of geopolitics, by the way. You have to try and play both sides because you play only to one side, the other side's going to stab you in the back. Trump hoped that by giving Israel this one massive strike, he could satisfy the political demands without getting dragged into another Iraq-style disaster. You know, if Israel comes to him now, he'll say, hey, shut up, I don't want anything more, right? I gave you so much. I dropped 14 bunker busters, never before used, something you could never do. Don't you dare ask me for any more, and don't you dare say I don't help you. I fully committed to you guys. Right? That's the narrative behind closed doors that Trump can now send at AIPAC if they send their officials, if they send their emissaries to ask Trump for more. Defense Secretary of the States, Pete Hegseth, called this a precision operation, not a regime change attempt, just an attack on nuclear sites. If you listen to his speech, he's talking in a way that's trying to distance America from further action to be taken. He's saying this was a one-off, we're trying to just we're trying to seal the deal, we're not trying to open something new. Despite, of course, Russia saying that America's opened Pandora's box, and China condemning it, and the whole Muslim world really upset about it, even Western Europe upset about it, not really knowing what to say. Kia, whichever way the wind blows, Starmer is, already fumbling over his words, ready to say something like, oh, Israel has a right to defend itself, but that script needs to be changed up a bit now. It's all a mess. But here's the scary part. This might not be over. Trump wants it to be a one and done, right? But it might not be over. You see, Iran's already promising retaliation, and now American soldiers across the Middle East are on high alert. Iran has spokespeople saying 50,000 American troops just became legitimate targets. American bases just became legitimate targets because you attacked us directly. Of course, they've become legitimate targets. You can't really contest that. In an analytical or in the diplomatic scene, you can't contest that. They have become legitimate targets. So very alarming rhetoric, of course. Oil prices are spiking because, check out my videos previously. The last one was about how Iran's parliament signed into effect the authorization to close the Strait of Hormuz. Close that door. You can say bye-bye to your prosperous life if you have one. If you're already living paycheck to paycheck, might as well start stacking up on beans and maybe toast if you're lucky. I don't know what your family and you are gonna eat if you can afford it. Anyway, the region as a whole is on edge, and we're one Iranian missile away from full-scale war. One Iranian missile just needs to be directed at American airbase, Al Udeid, Sultan airbase in Saudi, the naval base at Bahrain, anything really. And America will feel like, oh, I'm forced to retaliate now. They just attacked me directly. It doesn't matter that you attack them directly first. Them attacking you back directly is an escalation. A bully will punch and punch and punch. You punch him back once and he feels a bit of blood or a bit of bruising. He'll be like, how you dare punch me back? And then he'll go in again. Maybe he'll call in his mates because he can't do it alone, because that's how bullies often work. Anyway, the real question is whether Trump's gamble has worked, this one and done attempt. Did he give the Israel lobby enough so that America can now back off and the Israel lobby backs off Trump? Or did he just light the fuse on the biggest Middle East conflict in decades and potentially the opening scenes of World War III? Because while AIPAC and Netanyahu got their strike, Iran isn't backing down. They have their own nation with their own balancing act to play out. I'm talking about Trump's balancing act. Iran has a balancing act, right? If they do too much, they invite too much action against them. If they do nothing, their own people lower down in government or the opposition in Iran or the people themselves, they'll say, oh, wow, our government is absolutely incompetent. We just get completely slapped up by the enemy and they do absolutely nothing except say that, expect dangerous response, but then there's absolutely no response. The people will be frustrated. They might end up losing control of the country that way. They have a balancing act, right? Their own population to appease, just like Trump has his own people to appease. So Iran are calling this an act of war and promising painful consequences. So next time someone tells you this was about American security, remember, this was about American politics. Security for the American people, be damned, it doesn't matter. The pressure from pro-Israel groups, the fear of looking weak, the political calculations, that's what's really driving these actions and drove America to bomb Iran. That's how geopolitics works. It's logical, calculated, with a deviation in outcome, the various possible outcomes dependent on a cocktail of human decisions from each side, Israel, America, Iran. That's why understanding geopolitics is so important. So keep following me and you'll hopefully understand more about geopolitics. And I'm Muffles. And I've run out of time.